Hello and welcome to TribalTalk, a short-form discussion show from TribalScale, creating open discussions for tech topics and beyond. So I'm Julia Oliva, Senior People and Culture Specialist, and today I'm joined with Ashley Field. Thank you for joining. We are so excited to have you here to chat. So to give our listeners some background, Digital Nova Scotia is the industry association for Nova Scotia's ICT and digital technology sector. Their mission is to foster the growth of the digital economy in Nova Scotia, and they do this through skills development, capacity building, industry events, strong partnerships, and the promotion of IT opportunities. TribalScale is part of their member network, and we have been for a year now, and it has been a very fun and exciting journey, I can say to the least. So
Yay.
today we're going to chat. Today we're going to chat about navigating the world of tech, which, as we all know, moves very fast. So let's dive into it. So something that you and I had kind of noticed when we went to Collision is that everything was talking about AI and ChatGPT and how it basically has been emerging in the tech industry for the past year or so. I know at TribalScale, one thing that we've done for sure is that we have really partnered with Senso AI, which really helps us improve the overall employee experience at TribalScale. So we have our own wiki support system, which is basically, I would say, like a Facebook or Instagram, but for everything that comes to the employee experience, from benefits all the way to compensation, performance development, all of that fun stuff. And so it's been really great to be able to work with our team to get that all sorted out. And we think that it'll really provide a seamless, tailored, and intuitive experience for our team members at TribalScale. And then tying on to that as well, one thing that's really cool is innovation, which is something that we talked about at TribalScale when we met in person, but also we talked about in Halifax as well. So what role has AI had in fostering innovation in Nova Scotia's digital economy?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I guess I'll start just by saying thank you for having me on. It's so nice to always chat with you folks at TribalScale. Had so much fun in Toronto at Collision. And of course, when you visited here in Halifax not that long ago. So happy to have this conversation. Yeah, I think as you mentioned, it was pretty clear in Toronto that AI was like the hot topic of the summer. That's what pretty much dominated conversation there. And I think that hasn't really dissipated. Like, I think it's still what
Yeah,
everyone
not
is
at all.
talking about. Yeah. And I would even say that, maybe earlier in the summer, there was like hesitancy around AI where I feel as though most people are just kind of like eager to learn more and like eager to see how it can be leveraged in their business. So, just speaking from my perspective, I mean, as the industry association for the tech sector in Nova Scotia, we facilitate a lot of different learning opportunities. That's a big part of what we do. We build that network and community. So we host panels, we have workshops, webinars, that kind of thing. And really anything with like AI in the title or anything that even touches AI has been like so well registered, a lot more than like a lot of our other topics.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of just speaks to like the appetite that people have just to learn more, and learn how it can help their business. So I think from that perspective, that hasn't really gone away. I was going to talk about some things that like we've noticed in the industry here.
Yeah.
So obviously, artificial intelligence has always been a part of our post-secondary institutions, but there's been some exciting advancements this past year. So, for example, Nova Scotia Community College, they recently launched a new AI certification. So that is really teaching students about the growing field of AI. And NSCC said that they created it because they understand that new careers are going to arise as major industries continue to adopt artificial intelligence. So really kind of being ahead of the curve is critical for the success of the industry. So that's kind of one exciting development, I guess, when it comes to artificial intelligence in the province. Out in Cape Breton, which I think you made it halfway there. You went to Anakin,
Yes.
but out in Cape Breton, the university there, Memorial University, they also launched the Center for Artificial Intelligence, and that's going to be partnering with the private sector to help, educate at a graduate level their students. Of course, Dell has, we have a lot of universities here, and I know they're all,
Yes,
I
a
don't
lot
want to
of
miss
wonderful
any,
universities.
yeah, I think we're called the like the Canada's education province or something per
Yes.
capita. I think we have the most post-secondary institutions. So all that to say is that kind of artificial intelligence is on their radar because they realize that it is the future. And then again, like AI, as I mentioned, is kind of in every industry. Everyone is kind of talking about it, using it. But I think where we've been seeing the biggest adoption, and for a long time now, is in ocean tech, which probably does not come as a big surprise given we're Nova Scotia. But yeah, so it's been used in some pretty cool ways. So Dartmouth-based and GSTS, which is Global Spatial Technology Solutions, they're a DNS member as well. They got some federal funding actually to use AI to be like an air traffic controller for the shipping industry.
That's so cool.
Yeah, because surprisingly, that does not exist.
Who would have
So
thought?
I know, right? So, anyways, they launched that. I don't want to say it wrong. I think it's Oceana Systems. So that's pretty cool, and that was a big something that the government got behind because there really is a need for that. You might have heard of DeepSense. They are out of Dalhousie University, but they do a lot with ocean tech and AI and machine learning. So they're doing a lot of work with like tracking marine life in the oceans, which is really cool
Yeah.
because historically it's been like you would tag fish or tag sharks and just
Yeah.
kind of track them that way. But there's kind of some really cool developments happening in ocean tech with AI. So I just kind of wanted to give them a little plug. There's obviously a lot of cool stuff happening here in Nova Scotia. I wouldn't have time to go over everything, but yeah, I think there's a lot happening, and it is a really, really exciting time, whether you're using it for like your marketing efforts or you're using it to track fish. I mean, there's so many different applications. So it's
From
exciting.
one extreme to the other. You can
Yeah,
have
exactly.
either one. But what I was gonna say, just kind of tapping back into the universities and colleges and some of the programs, even when we had gone to St. FX, there
Mhm.
was a huge shift in the students that we saw from last year. It was like computer science or industrial engineering, and then now we're hearing a lot about the AI program and how they're all in AI. And I think it's really cool to see that from last year to this year, there's already such a huge shift. And even just 5 students or 10 students out of the 300 that are there, that's just beginning. That's not even where it's going to be 5 years from now. So I think it's really great that even the students are looking into it and they know it's the future. So it's definitely a huge thing for sure. And then I did want to kind of tap into the innovation side. So I know that we had kind of started quickly chatting about innovation in AI. So one thing I think is really cool about TribalScale is that we actually, and this is something that we had chatted about when we were in person in Halifax, but we actually received the best innovation workplaces for 2023 from the Fast Company. And so what's really cool about this award is that it basically showcases how TribalScale fosters our culture of innovation, how we empower talent teams, no matter if you have been here 4 or 5 minutes and you're a co-op student, or you are the CEO at the top of the chain, you always have a spot at the table to make those decisions, as well as just bringing those ideas that you have to reality. We have a great team here, and everyone wants to make sure that everyone's successful. And we can really see those results through kind of the collaboration and the shared passion that we all have to make sure that we're pushing what we want to be possible. So we had briefly chatted about the future outlook and kind of what AI is like and how students are now in school and AI programs. So what are you kind of seeing when it comes to the emerging tech trends? What do you really see shaping the future for the digital economy in Nova Scotia?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it's an interesting question. I mean, we did just talk a lot about AI, so I think that
Yeah.
has to make the list for sure. But I think, in a lot of talking with members, like one thing that's still like post COVID that's having a huge impact is just hybrid workforces.
Yes.
Which, yeah, like TribalScale knows as well. Being able to tap into talent in other places, and just, yeah, figuring out how to still build that culture that's so important to organizations. But doing it remotely, it's just really opened the door for so many more opportunities. It can pose, obviously pros and cons, because
Yes.
obviously companies now can here in Nova Scotia can access talent anywhere, but so can companies anywhere access talent here. So it's really, I don't know, it's interesting, and it's what a lot of people talk about all the time. So I think that's a trend that we're going to continue to see, and it's going to continue to
Yes.
have a major impact on not just the tech industry, but every industry really.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
yeah, it is. It's an interesting time. Even at Digital Nova Scotia, we are a hybrid work model, so it's not
Yes.
completely remote, but it's definitely made some things easier. Like traveling. We have a downtown office. It's a beautiful, lovely downtown office, but
It is.
traveling
It
in
is.
for everyone is not always easy. And so, It just makes life a little bit easier for some employees, which is nice. I think what we're still hearing people talk about too is, sustainability. Having that focus on climate impacts is huge going forward.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be part of a lot of people's strategic plans that we're going to see going forward. But yeah, I would say those are probably the three ones. I'd say the hybrid workforce is still going to be, have a huge impact on the technology industry. And I'm excited to see kind of where it goes and what opportunities it presents for companies.
Yeah, I agree. I also think one thing that comes up as well a lot with the students, and even when chatting with different potential talents to work at TribalScale, is they're located either in Vancouver or they're located in BC, or not in BC, but they're located in Halifax, and they're like, okay, well, I just graduated and I want to move to Vancouver, but I would love to work for your company. So it's also kind of giving the students an opportunity to kind of explore on their own while also being able to work. So it kind of gives them that option. So I think it's just kind of finding the right balance and finding a place that works. And I think that's something that a lot of students are going to have to start looking into for sure.
Mhm.
And then speaking about students, how do you think that Digital Nova Scotia programs and events contribute to preparing the workforce for the future trends?
Um, so we have a lot of, well, I don't know, where should I start? So I'm on the marketing side of things. Um, so a big part of our mandate, marketing and member engagement, is really, as I mentioned at the beginning, kind of like building that community. So we have a lot of different networking events. We have member mixers. We encourage, students can get free membership to DNS, which gives them access to our workshops and webinars, but also our networking opportunities. So I think having them have that access, or allowing them to have access to employers and other people who are already working in the industry, really helps prepare them for that, for once they graduate and want to get out into the workforce. We've certainly heard of connections being made at our mixers or where people have got employment. So it's really exciting for us to hear that. But a huge other pillar of our organization is that workforce development. And, we have a lot of upskilling programs. So I'll plug a few here. One of our newest ones is Tech Sales Plus, which is, it's an upskilling program. It's free for Atlantic Canadians. It's 12 weeks. And where a lot of our other upskilling programs were focused on like the technical roles, like cybersecurity and data analytics, this one is focused on more of like a sales, customer success style role, because we've identified a gap. Like by talking with our members, we've realized that tech roles are important, but you need someone to have those soft skills to be able to relay the technology to everyday people who might not understand it. So that's one of our newest programs that we're super excited about. And it's not only for someone like new, it could be for someone who has the technical background who wants to develop those soft skills. So that's a really exciting program. As I mentioned, we have Skills for Hire Atlantic, which is in cybersecurity and data analytics. That's a bit longer. It's a 20-week program. Again, it's free, but at the end of it, you can get AWS certification, and hopefully it'll help you, launch a career in one of those fields. And again, we're only in our, I don't want to get it wrong, but I think third or fourth cohort. And we're already hearing like really great success stories of people landing jobs out of it. So,
Awesome.
yeah. And some people, have come from like zero tech background and taking these programs, while others, have a computer science degree, but want to, upskill in some other area. So it's exciting to see people from all different backgrounds kind of take these programs. And I hope that answered your question, because I can't really remember how it started, but we ended up here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's okay. Don't worry. I think tying back into what you had said before, the podcasts that you have and different webinars that you have, that's something that we've, even from the HR team, have seen come in through DNS. And that's also something that we spread through TribalScale as well. So if something's going on for the design team, or there's something going on for engineering, or now sales that's coming in, that's something that we also share and make sure that we're educating TribalScale and the staff at TribalScale as well. I think another good thing that I think's really cool to make sure to prepare everyone at TribalScale, prepare everyone, is just to speak with experts in the industry. I think one thing that people forget about is that there are people that are currently working in the industry. You don't have to heavily rely on ChatGPT, or you have to rely on doing your research. It's as easy as reaching out to someone on LinkedIn, having a coffee chat with them, and really just kind of seeing, well, what are your challenges? What are you having? How can I educate the tribe? And how can I educate the people that I have to make them be better? And then I think another thing as well is hosting those internal workshops, sharing those internal workshops that are going on with other companies, passing it off with lunch and learns. And then another great thing that I think is great, well, another great thing that I think is so great about TribalScale is having that agile environment. So we follow a pair programming methodology. So it's having some of our senior engineers that have been in the industry for quite some time that are heavily focused on any of the new trends that are now teaching the co-op students, or teaching some of our junior or more intermediate engineers through the pair programming methodologies, which I think is really awesome. And then focusing, oh, sorry, go for it.
I was just going to say, I'm happy that you said that too, like the focus on networking and just reaching out over
Yeah,
LinkedIn, because I think that's why I started, like when you said, like, how do you help students? I started with the networking because I think that's such a huge piece. Like,
it
obviously,
is.
there's the workshops and the webinars, which are great, and you're going to get this like additional skills, which is great. But really being able to just go out and like talk to people, I think is so important. And that's what's super rewarding for me and my team, is being able to help facilitate those events, right? Like we don't just
Exactly.
have member mixers, but each of our programs have their own mixers. So like Digital Skills for Women Plus is one of our programs. And yeah, we just had a fall mixer, and it was so lovely to see all of these women come together and just like talk about the program and just talk about their careers now afterwards and how the impact it had on them. So it's really lovely to be able to facilitate that, because networking is a huge piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. And then getting back to the hybrid model, I think one thing that we're going to see more of it is more of those conversations. I've had a lot more people on LinkedIn, or even students from career fairs, where it's like, okay, well, instead of just applying to our Dropbox and applying to the job, they'll receive the business card and then they send you an email. They follow up, and they have like a trigger word to be like, hey, I was talking to you about the wedding that you're attending this weekend or something. And so it's just really just kind of forming that connection, so that if they ever do have questions in the future, you're able to remember that person and just be able to have a
Mhm.
conversation with them. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that. And I think the member mixers will be able to help with that as well, especially for our women in tech, and just really giving them a safe spot for them to communicate with each other, and really just let them know some of the challenges and struggles they might be having and how to get through them. So let's focus on something that's also really important, aside from women in tech and all the other cool things that we like to talk about. Um, let's talk about taking on the customer centric approach. So, what do you think, and why do you think right now it's more important now than ever to make sure that we are taking on a customer centric approach in the tech industry?
Well, I did already talk about Tech Sales Plus, but I think I'll just plug it a bit more here
Go for
because,
it.
yeah, no, well, as I mentioned, it is a gap that like we've noticed from talking to our members. You know, you can have the coolest product in the world, but if you don't have someone who's able to like really build that relationship with others to be able to like, and it's not just about selling products, but
Yeah,
it's about really building those relationships and explaining why what you do is so important and so great, right? And that's not always like an easy skill to have.
hmm,
It's a soft skill that, again, we talk a lot about AI and automation, and it can be great. You know, we talk about chat bots can help your business be accessible 24/7, but it's just not the same. You know, it's
it
not the
isn't.
same as having that human touch. And so, yeah, I think that that's kind of where we're hoping to fill that gap, is really um, upskill people who maybe who know the business, who know the tech, and just give them the skills to really go out and share that with the world. Um, it's a gap. I don't know if TribalScales notice that as well. I mean, customer success roles, I see job postings for them all the time. And so there's clearly a need out there. And this is just one way that we're helping to fill that gap. But I think at the end of the day, like we talk tech, we always talk about how it's evolving so quickly. You know, there's so much innovation happening. Um, I don't know that the general population is keeping pace with people who are in the industry. So again, having those skills to be able to relay that information, I think is super important, and will be super important for the industry to continue to thrive and get to where it needs to be.
Yeah, I think even tying back to talking about how TribalScale gets through it. So we are a white glove service experience. So we're always making sure that we want to make sure that whenever we have a customer come in, that we're making them the main focus. And so one of the biggest things is that white glove service. So making sure that you're 5 steps ahead, always making sure that you're coming back to the client, that everything's okay. You know, if there's something that we should implement now, or maybe a hurdle that we might see in a little bit of the future, let's address it now. So I think that's kind of one of the ways that we're trying to bridge that gap. But at Digital Nova Scotia, how do you guys promote the customer centric approach amongst your members?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, because I was just going to say, like, we don't really have customers, right? Like, because we're member based, though, as
Yes,
you mentioned. So, but I do think that, obviously, as a member based organization, we do have to take the customer centric, or you can call it member centric approach, whatever you want. Like, we want our members to feel valued and important, and like we're here to help them no matter what. So, I mean, just from a personal experience, like I'm a people person. I want people to know that like we're here whenever you need. My inbox is open. My phone line
yes,
is open if you need support in any way. If you are doing something super cool at your organization, winning awards, like I'm here to help amplify that message to
yes.
our followers on social media, to our member base. Like we are here as like our members' biggest cheerleaders. So I think that's how we do it. I think it's just super important, yeah, to build those relationships and let people know that they are the most important, right? They are, and
I agree.
especially for you guys, like your customers are your most important. Yeah.
Yeah. And even I think something that you and I can both agree on is also having that cross-functional collaboration. So it's having the marketing team, the sales team, the customer support team, although it might be different from a membership model, it really is kind of the same, just making sure that everyone's communicating with each other and working together. And I also think as well is one thing that we do because there is a lot of work that goes on in the back end, but just making sure that it's a user-centered design. So we're making sure that all the products and the services are intuitive, that they're easy to use, and they are be able to essentially solve what real market problems may be. And maybe a real market problem for us might be different than yours. Yours might be, okay, well, you just won an award. How are we going to get it out to as many people as we can? Let's collaborate. Let's work with the marketing team. Let's work with the sales team and really pump it out there. So I think at the end of the day, although it may seem different, it really is essentially the same. And I did want to mention something really quickly, which I think is really important and I really enjoyed that you had said it, but you had said that AI and ChatGPT and all those cool things that we're coming out with, it's not going to replace the human aspect. It's not going to replace those relationship buildings. And I think that's something that's really important, especially in the recruitment world. And so there's a lot of tools coming out, a lot of application tracking systems where you can really just kind of filter out all the amazing resumes just by a cool little thing that you download on your computer and a machine learning tool that you might be able to use. And so no matter what you have to be able to help you with what you do, there you will always need that people person kind of connection. I think it's really important that you tied that in there. So with
Mhm.
that being said, I will wrap it up with the last question of the day because I think it's great that we're ending off on that note. So does Digital Nova Scotia have any upcoming initiatives, any events or resources for the tech community that you would like to share with everybody?
I would love to. I think I don't know when this is going to air, but yesterday I'll just give this announcement. We announced our new CEO. So his name
Yes,
is
I saw
Owen.
that.
Yeah, his name is Owen Stagnus. And so we're super excited to have him join our team and to kind of get to work on kind of whatever, his vision for the organization and moving it forward. So that's really exciting. I think the next thing really is we're looking to our annual general meeting, which is always an exciting time to kind of reflect on the past year. Other than that, we have our Tech Forward Awards, which is our really biggest event of the year. We're
Yes.
expecting around 300 people, and we're just going to be celebrating and recognizing all of the amazing individuals and organizations here in the province. So that's going to be super, super fun.
Really?
As always, I mean, for people maybe who aren't able to attend those events, we always have webinars and workshops going on. So just check our events calendar because we always have stuff. And if you're a member, it's available to anyone within your organization, as you mentioned. So yeah, check out what we got going on. We always have a lot going on. So it's exciting
Yeah.
times.
All right, awesome. Yes, I always love seeing updates like that, and I cannot wait to see what the journey looks like for DNS. I can't wait to get all the updates. But thank you again, Ashley, for taking the time to come on and chat with me today. For everyone listening, you can find this episode of more on Tribal Talk on our YouTube channel. So stay tuned for more inspiring conversations in the world of technology and innovation. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.